What is wrong with Mayor Karen Bass? Where do I begin? Left, melting down over ICE as one judge looks to limit their West Coast action. We have all aspects of the immigration fight, including one of Tom Homan's almost physical fight that he got in at Charlie Kirk's event over the weekend. So, Lawrence, you looked at, first off, great to see you again.
Good to see you
it's
too,
been
bro.
six minutes.
Congratulations on being number 3 in radio.
Oh,
I saw
thanks,
that
man.
ranking came out.
Yeah.
That's pretty big.
Yeah, thanks. That is very nice of Talkers Magazine to rank us up there. Sean, Dave Ramsey, and then us. So it's great. It's a lot of fun doing this job. But, Lawrence, just on the court case that came down last week, you looked at it already.
Yeah.
And I don't understand. Let me just tell you from the pedestrian point of view, the judge concluded that ICE was moving just on people's looks and their accents. Yeah. And you can't do that. It's a violation of the Fourth Amendment. I'm thinking to myself, nobody thinks that.
No. I mean, the whole argument was ridiculous. What they're saying is that it was a Fourth Amendment violation, which means that it was a illegal search and seizure. So they're saying that they were racial profiling. There's no evidence to suggest that. By the way, when you look at the people that they grabbed, criminal backgrounds, you got people that are here illegally in the country, and not to mention, which is what I talked about on Fox and Friends this morning, I understand there's a push to legalize weed, but federally it's still illegal. That alone, they could have moved in on that facility. So I don't think it has any merit. I think that the Supreme Court or the Court of Appeals is going to eventually turn this over. So
what Tom Homan said, he said, I was taken out of context. He said, what I'm saying is if I see something physical like a tattoo, MS-13 TDA, which they have, and some of the bull stuff, the paraphernalia, that's technically, hey, you're wearing a Bulls uniform from the 90s, right. And that's really what
the thing that people misinterpret is it is illegal to profile someone solely based on one factor, so race, religion, or whatever. But race, religion, tattoos, whatever, can be included in a criminal profile. So you can't have one of them singularly be the focus there. But if I see someone that has the markings of TDA and I've had a source inside of there saying, hey, there's some criminal activity, that's enough to move on that site.
So Fox is told that today the U.S. government plans to request a stay on the temporary restraining order granted on Friday. So I was pretty amazed over the weekend that every Sunday show except Shannon brought it up too, was talking about this move on the marijuana plant, this glass house plant. And they're just talking about, wow, look at the violence because these people are farm workers. They just want to make a living, even though they're here illegally. Well, number one, they had to be tipped off because of the rocks and the number of people at the farm on the entrance and the exit. Number two, no one's bringing up the 300 people plus arrested. The 5 rapists, abduction, one's child molestation, and they got 14 kids.
That's the story, Brian. The kids. I mean, this is not just this is not people that are picking apples or your agriculture. These are people that are producing for a marijuana farm. And then the story that they continue still today, it wasn't just the Sunday shows which you and I watched yesterday, no mention of the kids. And now 9 of the 14, I think, were unaccompanied minors. So we've been doing all this reporting on Fox about where are the kids? Is anyone going to find the kids? And then lo and behold, we find 9 kids that are working on the farm. So it begs the question to me. Now, I thought some of them were involved in sex trafficking, but could some of the kids not be really missing? They're employing them illegally in the country right now?
Well, do you know the system? Because you've been to the border more than me. Do you know the system? You come across the border, you're an unaccompanied minor, right? But you have a sponsor. The sponsor has a phone. We have a phone number. That's good enough. Good. Goodbye.
That's right.
Well, a lot of those sponsors are employers. They're just going to put you against your will.
Traffickers or anything.
They're not your relative.
No.
Do you know that they changed the policies of the border the day Trump took over? And you have to proof of ID. You have to have citizenship, not just a passport, American citizenship. Two forms of ID. And then you got to tell us what exactly you're going to be doing. You got to tell me what you do for a living.
That's exactly right.
That's what a sponsor does.
Brian, a lot of the times, and this is underreported, these kids, they come across the border, they've been raped, they've been already trafficked. The girls are pumped up with birth control. Some of them come across the border pregnant because someone has raped them along the way. You know, a lot of people used to talk about the policy of separating the kids and the parents. A lot of those weren't the parents. A lot of those were the offenders. That's why the Trump administration were separating the kids and the adults.
You know, before you were hosting the show, I was down at the border when Trump might have still been president last year. And they told me that the DNA kits, that they didn't have enough, but he goes, you know what they're doing? Yeah. They just pretend.
That's right.
So as soon as you pretend to dip the swab in to get the person, she think, okay, it's not my kid.
Right.
So they realize they're about to fail the DNA test.
Yeah, I mean, Brian, honestly, we shouldn't be surprised. This is a criminal enterprise. The getting the kids across the border and the drugs is only one portion of it. The other part is trafficking the kids. And now we see they're in the workplace as well.
So I want you to hear what Senator Alex Padilla, the new celebrity, they got wrestled to the ground because he started screaming at Kristi Noem from 4 feet away. Meanwhile, all she had to wait is to wait after the press conference, could have had the one-on-one. Here's what he said about the rhetoric and the violence. Cut 8.
Are you worried that heated rhetoric around this and around the policies are actually putting law enforcement agents at risk?
First, let me just denounce any violence against law enforcement is unacceptable. Do I think heated rhetoric is, part of what's causing this response? Sadly, yes. And we've seen this administration escalate and escalate and escalate in all ways and manners, whether it's the tactics with which they're going about immigration enforcement. There's a smarter, more effective way to do this.
Really? So it's the rhetoric, except for what?
I'm sorry. There is a more effective way to do this, and this is what the administration tried. They tried to work with the local police and the local courts, and the Democrats said no. They tried to capture these folks when they were already in jail, or tried to partner with the police that know their communities, and you guys said no. So now they have to come in with a heavy hand, and you're empowered. You're giving the locations away of where these ICE operations are happening. You're throwing rocks at them. There were gunshots against the ICE officers in California. So there was a more effective way to do this, but you guys chose not to go that route.
So to Dana Bash's credit, she does ask a follow-up. Cut 9.
They say that it's the Democrats' rhetoric, some calling ICE agents secret police, comparing them to the Gestapo.
Well, I wouldn't use those words, but I do have concern when there are no requirements for ICE agents or other federal agents involved with the immigration enforcement actions to not even identify themselves.
Can you pause that 1 second, Eric? Watch this. So when an ICE agent shows up, do you see the Kevlar?
100%.
Don't you see the names? Don't
And
you
the
see the
badge.
uniforms? And when they say just one, no, they come in numbers. So are you going to tell me that a fake militia is coming into farms?
This is such nonsense. First of all, federal agents as well as local cops, when they're dealing with drug operations, the vice units and all that,
they show.
You see their badges and everything, but a lot of times their faces are covered because the drug dealers and the cartels have made them a target. So whether you're talking about a local vice unit that are targeting drug operations or federally now, because now you're targeting them, they got bounties against them from the cartel. Citizens and activists are posting their photos and targeting their family. So of course they're going to cover their faces. But you can see their badges, their patches on them.
Yeah.
They're in uniform.
It's a joke.
It's such nonsense.
Yeah, let's just play the rest of that if we can.
Us immigrant community, and you see unmarked cars roll into your community, people getting out of those cars with no identifiers that they are law enforcement, and literally not just detaining, in your mind, maybe kidnapping.
Kidnapping?
Kidnap, yeah.
I mean, at this point, I appreciate her trying to be fair, but there's a point where you got to say, really, kidnapping? There's a federal warrant for these people. They're in the country illegally. There's no kidnapping. Their process, the registry is in the federal agent's database. There's no kidnapping. It's rhetoric like that is why people feel like they're justified when they're throwing rocks and shooting at the cops.
But by the way, usually if it's kidnapping, it's like to a hostage situation to get money. What are they going to do? I want my neighbor out. Here's all my food stamps. you could take them all. Go get some cereal.
I'm just trying to figure out, when did a federal warrant, when people violated the law? And that's why we got to look at this. You got to take the immigration crime out of it. Coming in the country illegal, you just got to look at it crime for crime. If someone harbors or tries to prevent someone that they have a federal warrant or any type of warrant, you charge them with criminal conspiracy to conceal them, right? To obstruction of justice. But now we are allowing these activists to do this because it's an immigration issue, not a legal issue. If you want to change the immigration law, Then come up with a proposal. Pitch it to the president. He loves making a deal, but they haven't done that. They just want to resist.
Right. And the president is talking about doing something for meatpackers hospitality and farmers in certain situations, even though a lot of his so-called base is very upset with that.
So this whole idea that there's going to be a schism in MAGA, it's the ongoing fever dream of the left, that there's going to be a schism. First it was Iran was going to create a schism in MAGA, then the CBS poll came out and showed 96% of MAGA supporters supported the strike. So the idea that the Epstein thing is going to create a schism in MAGA is a little bit rich.
So what do you think, Lawrence Jones? That's Mark Thiessen yesterday on Fox News Sunday saying that the whole thing with Pam Bondi saying there is no list after saying there was she goes, I have files on my desk. And then them saying that he killed himself, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, Pam Bondi killed himself. Something happening with Dan Bongino where he says, I'm not coming to work on Friday, I might quit. Me or Bondi. And Megyn Kelly says she had a source that confirmed that. So how does this play out, and why is it a big deal?
I remember watching on I think it was Netflix, The Last Dance, and they were talking about the story of Michael Jordan and when he was on the Dream Team. And I remember one of the quotes from one of the players, because you got a team of all-stars. You know, they are the captains of the team. They're known, all that. They have their own fan base, yada, yada. And they said in the room full of alphas, there was one alpha, and it was Michael Jordan. And I think that's what we're seeing play out in Trump world right now. You got a lot of big personalities. You got a lot of people that are used to being the leaders in their own perspective. But there's one president. And when a president makes a decision, that is the decision. I can tell you this from my reporting, what I know for a fact, the president is 100% behind Pam Bondi right now.
There's no question. And he made it clear on Truth Social. But the DOJ memo went out, not signed by anyone, that says the systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. There was also no credible evidence found that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals as part of his actions. We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. No client list, died by suicide.
I think, this is what I can tell you from my sources. I don't think it's so much about the list where the infighting is coming from. It's the rollout of the list, right? Remember the social media people that they brought out and with the binders and everything. And when you look into it, there was nothing in the binders. And so I think some of the friction right now is that some people feel like there was going to be this big rollout of something when some of the people that actually read the documents at the time knew it wasn't going to be anything.
I think this is the clip with John Roberts that got everyone's hopes up. Cut 23.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump.
And then she came back and said this last week, cut 24.
I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file, along with the JFK, MLK files as well. And that's what I meant by that.
And some people interpreted that first initial interview with our John Roberts was that there was a list. She said it was a file. But again, I mean, the damage has been done in the sense of people were expecting something, and it didn't necessarily happen. Now, we know for a fact, because of our reporters in the interview that we did from the FBI, is that there was nothing there. There was nothing there. That's what they told us on the record. They told us that that it was a suicide, and they're feeling that the Department of Justice kind of, awakened or gave some credence to the beast. Now, the president, I think he's saying, hey, I'm going to make both sides sit down, knock it off. This is my administration. Get back to the mission of the American people.
But they have to come out with some type of statement because these people have a turning point over the weekend. Listen to Megyn Kelly.
Who have you seen? Pam Bondi. She has never missed an opportunity to go on television and dangle sweet nothings that might be coming your way. Try to lead you to believe that she's got it. It's on her desk. It's coming tomorrow. You're going to see something on Epstein. And it was a tease. So you either believe that Pam Bondi was telling the truth then or that she's telling the truth now. But both cannot be true. She was either lying when she went on Fox News all those times saying, I've got it, we're looking at it, wait until you see it, it's horrible.
There's only one.
Or she's lying in her 2-page memo that they released on a Sunday night at the tail end of a holiday weekend to Axios, as if Axios is where we all go for our news. Hell no. She went to someone she knew would not kick the tires on the story and without signing the memo, dropped it in the dead of night and said, that's it. Take the crumbs and be happy. Make some noise if you care about the Jeffrey Epstein scandal.
Your thoughts? That's a young group, under 30s, Republicans, conservatives.
Look, I can say some of my criticism on the micro level that I would have handled it this way, but I just think sometimes in MAGA world, I won't even say in MAGA world, I would say some of the influence, they get so caught up in the weeds of things. You got to realize who the enemy is and who the enemy isn't.
It's not Cash Patel and Dan Bongino.
It's not Cash Patel, Dan Bongino, or Pam Bondi. They may have some disagreements on the rollout there, but we wanted a Department of Justice that was fair and wasn't weaponized. And they got to focus on that. Now, they're supposed to be rolling out some stuff that they found about the weaponization of the department. I want to hear that news. I'm not interested in this make-believe scandal.
Right. All right, Lawrence Jones, always great to have
Thanks,
you on.
Brian.
See you tomorrow.
Congratulations.